Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Carrie's Gardening Channel. So today is August the 20th, 2019, and what I wanted to show you today is how to actually harvest your straw flowers for drying them. And if you've been following my videos on straw flowers, you'll see where I was talking about drying straw flowers. And in this video here, I want to show you is how I do that. Now, I do have other videos on my channel for growing straw flowers, and I did do a video for if something is actually eating your straw flowers, the possibilities for what it could be. So you can see here, my straw flowers are blooming. And straw flowers are known as everlasting flowers as well, because they hold their color very well when they're dried. Now this one here is actually open too far for me to harvest off. This is going to be one that's going to go for seeds because this is an heirloom variety. And what will actually happen is if I would cut this particular straw flower to dry it, all my petals would curve down and back. And then depending on how far along this would be, the center would start going to seed, because as your straw flowers dry, they continue to open. So as your the petals will actually keep opening on them, and the centers will keep developing. So you want to make sure that your flowers are dry before you harvest them, so that they dry properly. And if your straw flowers are open and you happen to get a cloudy day that comes, or the sun goes in, or if it starts raining, your straw flowers will actually start closing. So that is something that you want to keep in mind when harvesting your straw flowers. Okay, so this is one of my straw flowers here, and you can see the center is still closed on here, and the petals are opening up. Now I love the color on this one, and I have my pruners here. So I'm going to be cutting this one down a little bit longer, probably about right here. Now I'm cutting it right above where a new set of leaves are coming out. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that the plant branches back out and gives me more blossoms. Now I'm leaving the stems longer so I can work with them in arrangements. There we go. You can see right there. I took that one there off. Now there's a few things that you can do. You can either leave the foliage on, and if it's not damaged, it looks kind of neat when they're dried and you leave it on. But I will tell you that if you leave your foliage on, they will have to dry longer than if you just dry the stems themselves. So I'm going to put this one here in my bucket, and I'm going to look for some more. So here's another one here. I'm going to be taking this one. Now you can start harvesting your straw flowers when the first and second petals begin to open. Or you can let them go a little further. Now being that these will continue to open as they dry, you'll want to keep that in mind when selecting your flowers. If they're fully open, or if they're almost fully open, they might open too far as they dry, so then you might not be able to use them. So I'm just going to cut this one right about here. We'll let this one here go. Now these here, all these stems here, would have put off flowers, but I'm cutting it with the stem so I can use it. So I'm going to harvest some more flowers here, and then we'll come back and I will show you how to tie them up. Now another thing that you can do, like this one here is very small. This is a very small straw flower here. And if you wanted to have something for a bowl filler, or some really neat decorations for your table, just go ahead and snip that off right like that. And then just lay this on a piece of newspaper in the dark, and it'll dry for you. Okay, so these are some of the blossoms that I took off, and this is just a few. I have a lot more to harvest here, but see the beautiful colors here these have. And strawflowers are one of my favorite flowers. I just love the coloring, and I love the texture of them. They actually feel like straw, which is how they got their name. And so I'm going to show you here what I do next with mine. So I kind of look through these here to see what the foliage looks like on them, check for any type of damage on them or anything, get rid of any pests that might be on them. Sometimes aphids do get on these. And I'm going to kind of sort these out by size. Now these are different varieties, and that's why some of them have different foliage to them, and that's why some of them are larger than others. Now the more you let these open, the larger the flowers will actually get. So this one here has some damaged foliage, so I'm just going to kind of take the damaged stuff off of here. And these look neat, like when you do dried flower arrangements, or if you just want to display them together in a like a vase after they've dried. So you can kind of let the foliage on, or you can take it off. It kind of depends on what I want them for. Some I let the foliage on, some I just strip all the foliage off and just let the stem with the flowers on. So these here, I'm going to be letting the foliage on these here. And you want to kind of group the similar sizes together is what I like to try and do for stem lengths. Over here. There we go. Now you can kind of put more in a bundle or less in a bundle. I usually do about 3. Sometimes you can do 5. It just kind of depends on how many you want to put together. I will tell you, if you use less flowers when you dry them, they'll dry faster. Now I'm using rubber bands for mine. I know some people can't use rubber bands, so you can also use string and tie your string around. You just want to make sure you tie them really tight down at the bottom down here, so that when you hang them and as they start to dry, they don't fall out on you. But I'm just using rubber bands for this tutorial here. If you'd like a tutorial on how to do when you just put the string around, go ahead and leave me a comment down there in the comment section, and I'll go ahead and do a video on that for you. So I'm just tying this around here. Now I try and get mine down to the very bottom of the stems, because these will actually kind of turn over if you don't. So that's fine right there. This one here. So I'm going to finish wrapping these here up, and then I will come back and talk to you a little bit more. So we'll be right back. Okay, so these are all done here. They're all wrapped up down at the bottom. Now, I do put tags on them, and I put a date on for when they're done, so that I know on the drying rack when they were harvested to dry. Now, there's a few different ways that you can hang these. I usually wrap a string around this and tie it when I tie them then to the rack, or you can take a bread tie and just slip it down underneath of here like that, and just put it up, and then you can put this and like clip this or twisty tie it fast to your drying rack or your drying rope for when you hang your flowers up. So there's a few different options for how you can actually do those to dry them. Now, you want a dark, dry place to dry your straw flowers in, and that's for any flowers that you're drying. And you can also have a fan running, that helps to dry them. And probably about 2 to 3 weeks, it might be sooner, it kind of depends. If you let this on, it can take them longer to dry. They should be dry for you. Now, straw flower stems can get very brittle, so you do have to keep that in mind when using them for arrangements, because they can break and snap on you. And over here are some of my just the straw flower heads that I took off, and you can see I just nipped them off from the bottom. So what I'll do with these here is these are going to be laid out on newspaper in a dark place to dry, and this one here is going to be done for a straw flower. I'm going to put a wire stem in it. So instead of having the stems over here, I'm going to wire stem it up. And then I'll show you that in a separate video for how I do the wire stems on straw flowers and how I dry them then. Now, if you want these to be open more, then you can dry them in a little bit more light, or after they're dried, go ahead and put them in some more light, because they will continue to open as they dry. And that's one of the interesting things about straw flowers is, and I even have an arrangement that I did probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and it has straw flowers in it. And even though they're 3 to 4 years old, they are actually still opening as they are in the arrangement. And it's kind of interesting because you wouldn't think that, you know, they're off the stem. They're not attached to the living plant anymore. They shouldn't still be opening. But that's something that's interesting about this particular flower, is that as they continue to dry, they continue to open. Or after they're dried, if they get put in more light, they'll continue to actually open. So I'm going to get these here hung up, and I'll show you some then that are dry. Now, sometimes your foliage does not always get, it'll still kind of be soft on you when it's dry, but the flowers are definitely dry. So that is something that I have figured out on these. It's just something different about them. So we're going to go ahead and get these hung up, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more. So we'll be back. And how you'll know when these are dry, the stems will get brittle on them, but you'll see as they're drying, the stems will start shrinking on them, and you'll have to check to make sure that your stuff doesn't fall out of your rubber band or your string. So that's why you want to tie them so tight. And this is a wreath arrangement that I actually did using dried flowers, and my dried straw flowers are in there. So I hope you enjoyed my video and you find it helpful for how to dry your straw flowers. So if you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the little notification button. I'll tell you when I put a new video on. You can also follow me on Twitter. I have a link down in the description for my Twitter account. Thank yous for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye!